Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thunder Junction draft here on the channel. We're going to dive in. If you enjoy Thunder Junction drafts, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe for more, comment with your questions, thoughts, and feedback. We have opened Useless the Gathering. This rare is not very good. Obika Splitter of Seconds, 3 colors, and doesn't do anything in limited, really, other than being a 2/5. Menace. There's Longhorn Sharpshooter, which is a good card. Nice little 2-for-1, pretty straightforward, can help you with double spelling. There's Trash the Town, which can be pretty good. I think it's a little bit clunky because costing like 4 mana to like buff it and draw the cards can be tricky sometimes, but a good card. Gem Lightfoot is good, but it's 2 colors, so I'm not really considering that. If I was to take a 2-color card, I would take Buried in the Garden because this card is very good, but I don't really like starting with gold cards. I know some people are fine doing it, but it's not something I like to do. It's just not the way I generally approach drafts. I think there's an argument for Buried in the Garden here, but I'm leaning towards the Longhorn Sharpshooter, the Trash the Town, Vault Plunder is fine. I think I will take Sharpshooter. I think it's the best one. Okie doke. Now there is Archmage's Charm, which is good, but it's pretty committal. Triple blue's hard to do. And you don't get to take control of things, so it's mostly like a counterspell that's flexible, so you don't really need to take it that highly. There is Marauding Sphinx, which I think is going to be my pick. I really like this card. I think it's quite powerful. The best red card in the pack is this Prickly Pear as a follow-up to the Longhorn Sharpshooter, but I definitely don't mind taking a Prickly Pear here. I mean, taking a Marauding Sphinx here because I think it's just the best card. There's also Snakeskin Veil. Yeah, Make Your Own Luck is good as well. But again, it's kind of a committal card. Phantom Interference is fine. Mystical Tether is pretty good. Sentry's fine. Mirage Mace is fine, but I'm happy taking a Sphinx second. Okay, so 2 picks in. We have a red card that we first picked, a Marauding Sphinx. We see Roadrunner, which is fine. Another Hobika. I think the best card in this pack is just the Consuming Ashes, though. It's a really strong card, even though it's monocolored. I mean, a color that I'm not in yet. Highway Robbery is fine. Resilient Roadrunner is good in some decks. It's early enough that I think I'm just going to take the Consuming Ashes, though. It's the card that I'd be actively happy to have the most. I think it's sometimes hard to, like, out-pressure people if you're not playing, like, the most aggressive decks. Like, you can just, like, get stuck. And I don't think this card is too powerful. Like, it's fine. A 2-drop that hits in and then gets evasion is good, but I think the removal spell is just better. Okay. I've not been too impressed by the Wolverine. Like, it's just been really hard to use effectively. Really hard. There's a Cacturantula, which I like. A Snakeskin Veil, which is good. It is a 4th color. I could also take a Lush Oasis, which kind of hedges my bets because I can play this in like a blue-black deck, but I could also use it if I wanted to play Cacturantulas later. I really don't love the Wolverines. I've not been too impressed by them. I think Skullduggery's fine. I'm just going to take the Lush Oasis. I think it's going to make a lot of my decks better, even though I'm not probably playing green. Just as a half-on-color crime land. These colors tend to be crime colors. It's kind of like taking a blue card, I guess. Okay, and now there's a Trained Airings as the best card in the pack. There's also Unscrupulous Contractor, another Lush Oasis. Kind of late for a Trained Airings, I'd say. 5th pick. Don't love Contractor. Card draw that loses you life is always kind of finicky and limited. Like, it's so matchup dependent. This card's pretty good. I think I'll just take it over the Oasis. Okay, now there's a Take Up the Shield. There's also a Mirage Mesa, which is guaranteed to make my deck, so I think I'll just take that. Especially pick 6. Getting a card that's guaranteed to make the cut when I'm kind of scrambling for colors is really helpful. Okay, now there is Frontier Seeker. There's also Mobile Homestead, which is, again, benefits from being a card that's guaranteed to make my deck. White is starting to look open, though, getting the late Trained Airings and the late Frontier Seeker. And this can even find the Trained Airings, so I think I'm okay taking it here. Homestead is pretty good, though. And being guaranteed to make my deck is good. Man. I'll take the Homestead. Home on the range. Don't love Caught in the Crossfire. Mind Raider's the most likely to make my deck. I don't like Raven very much. Sure, I'll take Gem Lightfoot now on the wheel. We have a few cards that we can put into a white deck. Sterling is fine, Failed Forwarding's fine, but wheeling a gem is nice. Then we wheeled Phantom Interference too. There's also another Mirage Mesa. But getting a blue card for my maybe blue-white deck that I'm building could be quite nice. And I already have a Mirage Mesa, and it's not looking like I'm overwhelmingly likely to be. I kind of need to make sure I get playables, and I think this is a direction for me to go at least. This is green-blue. This is a blue-white kind of card that you can play in blue-white. I think this is the best card in the pack. I could also just take this guy. It's honestly not the end of the world, I don't think. Perfect. Yeah, I'll just take the blue card. I think Silver Deputy's trash. Pretty happy with how that pack went. Okay, well, we're not going to go red-black. We saw, like, the one black card. I think we're just going to play blue-white. It seemed open. And Metamorphic Blast is pretty good. Fierce Retribution's also fine, but I like the Metamorphic Blast. Passing Laughing Jasper, that's okay. That card's great, though. Maybe we'll get some good blue-white cards this pack. 2 Frontier Seekers in this pack. There's also Endless Detour, which is a card I could splash. I have the Lush Oasis and Mirage Mesa, but I'm just going to take the good card, Frontier Seeker, for my deck. Feeling really happy about how this first pack went. Ooh, nice. Third pick, Calamity is crazy. This card is so good. I don't think I can switch into it. I kind of have my blue-white deck kind of set up. And Contagion Engine is good enough that I think it'll still be a nice addition. If I have any +1/+1 counter stuff, it's pretty nice, but I took a card that was more flexible. I took Mirage Mesa over the +1/+1 counter card, but that's pretty okay with that. Essence Capture versus Loan Shark. I don't always love Essence Capture. Loan Shark can be good, though. I like Loan Shark. Plays well with Gem. Essence Capture is just hard to use. It's like Phantom Interference, but you can't always cast it when they like play like a non-creature when you really need them to play a creature. Now we get a Holy Cow that's really good in blue-white. I would not mind splashing a Form of Posse, but I don't think I need to get a splash card when there's a card that's on color that's really good for me. I will take Holy Cow over Stop Cold. I think just cheaper card is better. Filters me, draws me cards. It's a flyer. Pretty much plays on plan. I actually really like Ariet's Lullaby in blue-white. I might even wheel a second one from the next pack. No, but Fierce Retribution is close. I'm going to take this because of having a card like Gem and a card like Emergent Haunting. So having instant speed removal is more valuable, even if it's more situational sometimes. But Jailbreak Scheme is still a reasonable card. This draft, I started off red card, blue card, black card, and then blue-green land or something. And then I took a white card 5th. That was my first white card. And now I'm like very heavily white. Ooh, cool. I'll get Jailbreak Scheme now. Endless Detour is not a card that I think is worth splashing. Unless you're like already splashing that color. Sterling Hound is fine. I'm a little bit light on creatures. I still think I'll just take the card that's better though. Steer Clear over Failed Forwarding. Actually, I'll take Failed Forwarding. I already have Fierce Retribution and Steer Clear and Ariet's Lullaby. I don't think I can afford to play all 3 of those. Harrier Strix, sure. That can be okay if I get another Ariet's Lullaby. Pack 3 should be good to me because, ooh, last pick Form of Posse. That's a card I could play as a finisher. Well, this card's excellent. And this card's not very good. This card's not very good. I like Train Darings, though. Getting down early creatures, it's still just a great blocker. And then being able to scry in the mid to late game is great. This is a pretty easy pick. My creature count is now at 9. I'd like to get to 13 creatures, I think. And then I'll end up cutting some things like Steer Clear. Fierce Retribution is probably going to stay, but Harrier Strix might not. Don't think I want to splash this quite yet, but it is a nice card in this sort of deck that kind of goes late. Let's just make these cards a bit bigger. Definitely just going to take Holy Cow. Requisition Rate is a card that I've never been able to figure out. I don't think I ever want to main deck it, but I think it's a killer sideboard card in the right matchup. But Holy Cow is good for me. If I was red somehow, I mean, I kind of was open to being red in pack 1 because I first picked a red card, but it did not work out that way. Pretty happy with where I'm ending up, though. Frontier Flats is sometimes okay, but I think Holy Cow is just what these decks want. You want to be able to hold up your mana. As I'm saying this, like with the Holy Cow thing, I think Essence Capture might have been okay, but I just don't love it in a format where your opponent has, like, not as many creatures. One thing I learned a long time ago in this format is if you ever have a chance to take an on-color dual land, you're going to get enough playables, so just taking a land that, like, helps your deck function better is going to be worth it. So, like, I don't need the Lush Oasis because I'm not playing any Crime Payoffs. Well, I guess I'm playing Marauding Swing, so maybe I will play the Crime land. But Lonely Arroyo is just perfect for me. Definitely willing to take the hit on that one. I might take Seize the Secrets here over the Gardener. I don't think Gardener does much for me. Bridled Bighorn is also fine. Creatures count is at 10. I have a decent amount of late game stuff, not a ton. Does also work with my Steer Clear. Ooh, Bounding Felidar is good, though. Hindering Light. Maybe I'll wheel this. I don't think I will, but maybe I will. This is a good Bounding Felidar deck, I think. I don't have that many creatures, but I have enough. This thing doesn't work for me, right? Yeah, I don't have enough artifacts. I have two artifacts. But they don't have mana value 3 or greater, only one does. Could take an Inventive Wingsmith or the Geyser Drake. I'll take Geyser Drake. I have a lot of instants. Gold Pan or second Harrier Strix. Sure, I'll take second Harrier Strix. Well, this is a good pack for me. This card's really good. It's definitely better than a 4th. Holy Cow. Take up the shield is not necessarily what my deck's about. Cut the Armadillo, cut the Harrier Strix. Probably cut Steer Clear. I have a few mounts. This is currently I need to make like one cut to get up to the playable count that I want. I think 17 lands for this deck is good when I have 3 Holy Cows, so if I get to 3 lands, I can scry into what I need. Will I play Lush Oasis just for Marauding Sphinx value? Probably. I only have 3 tap lands, so that should be fine. I got to my 13 creatures, so I need to make one cut here. It also makes failed forwarding a little bit better. Lullaby I think is good. Do I have any just bad cards in the deck? I could also consider like adding in a Sterling Hound if I did need more creatures. I don't think I ever want 2 Steer Clears. I think Fierce Retribution and Steer Clear fill a similar role, but Fierce Retribution is just better. I do have 2 Arinx and a Bighorn and a Felidar, but I think I'll just cut this card. It's pretty weak. And I will build the deck like this, I think. Pretty even on blues and whites. So I've got 8, 9 white sources, 10 blue sources, but this can just name white if I draw it. Yeah, I think slightly more blue for the double blue on this card. Nice. I'm excited to see how this does. But I guess this hits more. I guess I have a lot of mounts to hit too. Perfect. I'll see you folks in the games. Before I get to the games, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the patrons who support the NicolaiBolas channel at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. Patrons are the ones who contribute directly towards the channel so that I will be able to make as many videos as I do. They gain access to some cool rewards in the process, like my tier list for each set and things like that. But fundamentally, Patreon is a place to support the content you enjoy so it can continue being made in the future. And for that, I am very grateful. I want to give a huge shout out to those who support at the credits level. It really makes a big difference. And without further ado, let's get to the games. Welcome to round number 1. On the play, I have to mulligan this, I think. I need to draw specifically plains. I do have like 9 white sources, but I think I have to mulligan that. This is a much better hand. I can just get rid of my only white card and then buy plenty of time. I will still lead with my crime land, though, because I need everything to come into play untapped. So they play a plains. So if I do draw plains, I can kind of find a second one, maybe. Just got to make sure I don't fall behind while I'm waiting to find my stuff. So they're playing green-white. Definitely take the plains. Sure. No blocks. Get the Sphinx down. They could have a removal spell, like an exile this thing type card. Gonna stop on my upkeep. This can return any non-land permanent. Okay, so they played their land first, but then they play the Grizzly. Okay. Sure. Okay. They have an ornery Tumblewag I'll have to deal with now. Contagion Engine would be good right about now. So I will get to surveil 2 now. I have no benefit to holding the land. Yep, there's the tether. Okay, that's the trade I was hoping for. Not going to be able to stop the brushwag anyway. At least for now. I've ditched a couple lands. I scryed a couple. I mean, this card would be good here. Yeah, that's tough. That's just tough how it works out sometimes, isn't it? Their deck is quite powerful. Got a lot of good cards in there. So there's a block there. I don't really feel bad about this game. I feel like I've played it really well. I've given myself every chance I could. They just have had, like, better cards than me in terms of just, like, they're playing some raw card quality that's hard to compete with. And I mulliganed. If I had a Fierce Retribution this game, like if I hadn't had to put that away, I mean, this game would have been a little bit different. Well, this is suspicious. Oh, they have steer clear or something. Oh, the absolute worst. So it gets me on all accounts. The biggest problem is that because they put the counter here, I don't get to proliferate to kill it. Or this guy. Yep. The way things lined up just wasn't meant to be that game. That was tough. Nothing to feel bad about, though. It happens sometimes. Welcome. I am loving this hand. Mobile Homestead on the play feels pretty good. Don't you get some free value out of that? And Frontier Seeker can also be good for finding a land. It's not like a guarantee, but it can be pretty good. Nice. Another green-white matchup. Okay, ankle biter, sure. I'll force them to trade their Varmint or their Death Toucher for it. I don't really care about this guy right now. I'm just going to get my Visage Bandit mana spent. Pay that tax while I'm not under a lot of pressure. Sure, Grizzly. Grizzly's a card I'd much rather use my Jailbreak Scheme on. So I'll probably put it on the bottom. I'm going to play this and copy my Seeker. I want to have something to do. Perfect. Pretty much the exact card I was hoping for. So now if I draw a land, I can play Bounding Felidar. That was weird, because if you want to do that, you could have done it on defense. I'm not sure why they kept that card on top either. It's like the way they did the exchange, they took 2 extra damage. This might be a little scared playing. I'm just trying to think of cards I could have for 4 mana that then wouldn't do anything, and Fierce Retribution and the other card come to mind. Next time I'm just going to jam Bounding Felidar. Sure. I'll hit a land. I'm still trying to figure out why they spent a whole turn doing nothing. Okay, so they do have 1 mana. Okay, and I can counter it now, so that's good. So they double block, I kill the giant beaver. Yeah, I messed this up. This was a bad attack. I should have attacked with Frontier Seeker too. That was actually just like, it was level 1 thinking of, oh, they can eat my Frontier Seeker if I attack with it, but that means that they can't then double block my Felidar. So what would have happened was they would have neither of their creatures. They'd have a 4/4, but I'd have my Felidar, which is way better for me, obviously. It's not going to matter because I can, like, any of my creatures are good enough here. Unless they play like a one-sided Wrath, which would cost triple white, like the High Noon card or whatever. Not High Noon, Final Showdown. Okay, sure. I'll make him unblockable. Put this guy into their library. This way I have 2 cards that they can't really deal with. And attacking with the Frontier Seeker isn't really that good because if I do attack with the Frontier Seeker, they could like block and give this guy lifelink and then live. No, they'd still be dead, but that sort of thing. Got the win. Nice. Pretty good, pretty good. See you folks next round. Welcome. On the play, I'm going to keep this hand. It's definitely a tough one if I don't draw lands, but I have faith. I need to hit 2 lands realistically, so it's sketchy, but mulliganing is also sketchy in its own way. And I can at least do stuff for my mana. So 2 islands. Could be a counterspell, like Essence Capture. If they play a 3rd land and don't do anything, I'll be kind of suspicious of it. Getting 2 Bridled Bighorns is pretty good. Like saving a mana on one of them. Yep. Yep. I could have also done nothing, but I don't know if that helps me that much because I don't like have a good play for the next turn. I could have played Mobile Homestead. That would have played around Phantom, whatever it's called. It's just high upside if they are like color screwed or something and I punish them. If this was game 2 and I knew they had Essence Capture, I probably would have played around it. Or if I'd had the Emergent Haunting, I totally would have gone for that line. But I didn't want to waste my mana, because then if I imagine I draw a land and I can go Mobile Homestead, Jailbreak Scheme something. Sure. Siphon Insight away. If they play one of my good creatures, I can actually put it back in my deck. Okay. I'm gonna name blue here. Kind of just want to copy this. I know I'm missing out on an attack with the Homestead, but that's fine. I might also draw 2 cards. Copying this means I'll have to wait another turn of doing nothing, but it's fine. Okay. When you need lands and spells, just getting your card draw out of the way is good. They could counter it, but I don't think they have my counter spell. So they could have Holy Cow. I haven't really gotten to use that guy very well. I don't have that many good creatures for it to copy. Oh, okay. Hmm. Okay. I'm okay with that. I'll definitely put that on top. Now if I draw a land, okay, not quite. I think this is still worth it. Oh, I already played a land. Maybe not as worth it then, because copying this is pretty great. But now I have a lot of power and toughness in play. Trained Daring, sure. So now okay, they already used both cards they took from me. I don't think Phantom Interference is very useful here, with both of us having infinite mana. I know it's technically not the most efficient, but I don't want to get countered by their counterspell. And I already know that I want to draw this, so surveilling it doesn't really do much anyway. Sure. They haven't played a single Outlaw since playing this. I think Visage Bandit can be good in my deck. It's like just tough to use. Sometimes you can get a huge advantage out of it. Sometimes it's hard. Getting a Lone Shark wasn't bad though. I just had to wait too long. I like affect the board with that 3 mana for a while. Sure, they're bouncing it. Seems a little bit rough. Okay. We got 7 in flyers. Still have this guy. We have this if they have a board sweeper or something. That's a card. So's this, though. Wow, they just take it. They just lose their guy. Crazy. Yes. Oh, nice win. We beat Bonnie Paul. No big deal. That was good. Nice. See you next round. Welcome to another round. Easy keep. Great hand. Really happy to see it. Homestead into creature that can crew. Homestead is good. Opponent's on a mulligan. Double mulligan. Ouch. Hate to see it. In these low stakes games, it's more fun to have like a full competitive game. Because most people only mulligan if they have like land issues or something. Which you can do something about sometimes. That's why I take like the dual lands very highly. But oh, I even get to scry to set it up. Oh, that's the dream. So if it's not a land on top, I scry it away. Oh, that's close. Do I need to hit land? Well, the reason I made that decision, I'll just explain it because I did it internally. I thought that I could win a game where I like keep that on top, play it slow. But I thought that a nice way to get like almost, let's say, like a win is by taking advantage of my cards and hoping for the best. And if it's not a card that it's not a land, then it's maybe a 3-drop that I can use anyway. Here, I'm not going to risk it on them having a... Actually, I will, yeah. No, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'll just trade. I can get a 3-for-1 with this in like one turn. The 3-4 is not that relevant to me. Now, I should have played the land first because they could have flashed in the 6/6 guy. And then I wouldn't have gotten to draw off this. I'll keep that on top. Leyline Binding, sure. Sure thing. Keeping this on top is like, okay, I have 5 lands in play. When you have 5 lands in play, you don't really want to get rid of reasonable spells. Another holy cow coming in hot. I wanted to do this because now I have a lethal attack for next turn. And 6 of it is flying. Got the win. Got to be able to punish the opponents that mulligan to 5. And that's something we were able to do. Nice. See you next round. Welcome to another round. I think we'll keep this on the draw. Our opponent is called Kaladin Stormblessed, which is a reference to the Brandon Sanderson novel, The Way of Kings. Actually, the book series, The Stormlight Archive. I have read those books. I enjoy them, and I'm excited for when the next one comes out. A land was not an ideal draw here. Black-white, okay. Kind of a grindy matchup. I feel a little bit better about them playing that card, and that was a great draw for me. Trained Airings is going to help me. Pretty much any spell's good here because I have the lands to cast them. Sure. But getting to scry away potentially bad draws is really good for me. Like, any land is a bad draw. So this is like basically drew me a card. This will gain me a couple life. Get our scry on. Holy cow is good. When choosing which removal spell to play, I basically factored in that they could have counter unless I pay 2. Oh, they're playing Holy Cow? That's wild to me. Mildly surprised by that. So now I'm just going to attack with this guy without scrying because my 2/3 can hold this back and this back. But I think I needed those scries for a couple turns to set me up. Oh, they're sacking the Raven? No, they're not sacking anything. So I guess I just won't attack. I'm shocked. Okay. They have 1 card in hand, so if it's a removal spell that's expensive, they can't get past the Sphinx, I'm going to be able to stabilize and win. If it's a cheap removal spell, then I won't be able to, but I can use Jailbreak Scheme on their, like, Raven or on this guy even. Or maybe their Holy Cow. This counter makes a big difference on the Holy Cow because then it can attack past Geyser Drake. But I can maybe put a counter on Geyser Drake. So we'll see what they do here. This way, if they have Skullduggery, which I think they have, I don't lose. Deserts do. Well, that's really bad. Gotta keep battling. I'm going to gain 4 life from these two. Yeah, the double blocked a player on Skullduggery. Maybe that was just greedy, because if I had a 2/3 here, I would totally be fine. So I go to 1 here. Oh, dang. So, I was going to be in rough shape anyway. No, if I had the 2-3, I would have been fine, I think. Oh, that's tough. I made a judgment call. I figured Skullduggery was more likely. Because if they had... I think the reason why my mind didn't put them on having Desert Stew was because if they had Desert Stew, they could have killed this thing before combat and then attacked with everything. So that was like really well disguised that they had the Desert Stew. Because I blocked a 3-3 with a 3-5 and a 2-3, which was already a ambitious block. But like that attack makes sense for them having Skullduggery or the +2/+0 make a treasure card. And I don't think the +2/+0 treasure card is as good. Skullduggery also makes sense with a crime deck with Raven of Fell Omens. So I was like, okay, I'll make this kind of weird block. And then they had the Desert Stew all along. Huh. That was like a next level play by them. I was like 3 levels in. Because Skullduggery made the most sense to me there in my mind. And then I didn't really think about them having a kill spell after they already attacked. I was just thinking combat trick. And Skullduggery, they don't think they're splashing for a white combat trick. There's not really a blue combat trick to be afraid of. Does the Geyser Drake only helps against specifically Skullduggery, I guess? What they might have had is they might have had the Harvester of Misery in hand. And that's why they had to use their Desert Stew. And they were trying to use Harvester of Misery to eat my guy. That seems to make a lot of sense now based on what I'm seeing here. And so I did force them to use their kill spell, but it was way better for them that they were able to do that. Interesting. Welcome to another round. Another good hand. Airings into Geyser Drake again. Or Holy Cow, but saving this for after the Drake to get a mana discount seems good. Playing against a green deck. Green-blue, nice. So, gotta keep Bonnie Paul on the mind. So if I do draw a counterspell, maybe I can use that to my advantage. What do you got? Nothing. Just gonna play level 1. They could have a counterspell, they could not. Sure. That's interesting. I think if I were them, I would have let this resolve, and then I guess I could have crewed it immediately. But like, I think bouncing the 3-drop makes more sense. So they're holding up 2 mana as if they have counter unless I pay 2. Which is why I'm going to default to the play 2/2 drops plan instead of play this guy. So sometimes you can play around your opponent's spells by making a slightly suboptimal play, because generally it would be better to just play my 2 spells. I mean, my 1 big spell here, because then I can double spell with these 2 next turn. But in this case, I want to kind of strand their mana a little bit. And I also wouldn't mind 1 more scry at a potential... okay. Counter. They don't play around the counter spells because they're not that common. So they hit a Cactarantula. That's pretty decent. Sure, I'll keep that. I like that. So next turn they get a free Cactarantula, so their 5 mana draw 3 was also just like absurdly good in terms of generating them 6 mana this turn. So this is going to be maybe a hard one to win. My jailbreak schemes are actually going to be really good here. Okay. They will draw a card from this, but I think that's okay. That's unfortunate. That's pretty bad for me. So they did have a counterspell, but only for non-creatures. This is such a disaster for me. Like, I almost just want to concede with how bad this has been. This thing's drawn them 4 cards. Just, like, think of, like, if this thing hits, like, a normal 2-drop or 3-drop, I'm, like, totally fine. But the fact they got to play this for free and hold up all of their mana for every turn has just been horrifically bad for me. Yep. Sure. They get to keep holding up their mana. If this doesn't work, I'll concede. I don't think it will work. They've got so many cards in hand. Huh. Still in it, I guess. Maybe they drew a bunch of lands. Yep, as I suspected. Whenever you play against a blue-green opponent, they almost always have Bonnie Paw. The problem is like, if this Cacturangula hadn't literally drawn them 5 cards, I would be able to win this game. Because they only have 1 reach creature. Like, if I hadn't had to use all of my interaction trying to get my flyers through. I love how this wants to tap me out of white mana. It's like, but why? Yep, this is game over, but I tried my hardest. I think going for the getting rid of the Cacturangula gives me a decent shot. Hope they don't have like 5 different ways to protect it. 1, 2, 3. They had 3 different ways to protect it. I went through all my removal getting it off the battlefield. Like, if I had a jailbreak scheme here, I'd tuck this card, give this thing unblockable, and I almost like win. I can almost steal the game. So I chump blocked with one thing, but they also chump attacked with something, so. Yeah. Yeah. This card won them the game. Make your own luck. And then they had Cactarantula plus like all these protection things, and I just could never punch through. And the reason I was trying to punch through was because I knew they probably had Bonnie Paul and they were going to eventually draw it. We will concede. I was really happy with how I drafted this one. The games I lost felt like I couldn't have done anything differently, and so I'm okay with the way I lost. The first game we lost, they just had really high card quality. That last game, they got that Cactarantula into play for free, and it was just like I wasn't aggressive enough to stop them. Like that's just a play that I had no control over. And then I guess what I could have done is played into a potential counterspell with my playing my 3/4 out, and then I could have had slightly more pressure on the board for when they did play their Cactarantula. Because what I ended up doing was slightly less aggressive, but it felt reasonable at the time. And then the other get lost. I don't even remember what happened on the last one. Oh yeah, the desert stew that killed my Sphinx. That was also like fine to lose. But yeah, pretty cool deck. Pretty good games. We didn't have a lot of like crazy high power level. We only had the Contagion engine as a rare. And like we drew it one time, but it wasn't even really necessary that one time. Like, sure, it helped us win the game faster, but I think we were going to win that game anyway. So just commons and uncommons doing their thing, getting a solid record. And I'm pretty happy with how that draft went. If you did make it to the end of this video, in the comments section down below, leave hashtag flexible to let me know you made it to the end of the video, because we stayed very open during the draft. Ended up with a sweet one as a result. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.